So it became very clear that the economics really drive the grid dynamics. And what also became clear is that there's this incredible web of feedback. So we have the electrical infrastructure that is the bane of power engineers, and they have incredibly detailed engineering simulations, computer simulations like flight simulators, that predict what is happening in the electrical infrastructure all the time. And there's now been a lot of shift to thinking about the smart grid, where we have a cyber physical system where we're putting sensors and needing real-time information from these to understand how to control the electrical infrastructure. So there's been a lot of focus on the cyber physical thing, but then there's the connections to all the other infrastructures, water, healthcare, gas. We've seen in New Mexico a couple of years ago, there were rolling blackouts in Texas in the electric grid, and that prevented the natural gas being delivered to New Mexico. So there's couplings between different infrastructures that typically are revealed in emergency situations. Again, another emergent thing we wouldn't predict. And then there's also things like the human beings who are overloaded watching these computer terminals that normally don't do anything, and once in a while they have to act in emergency situations. And I do a lot of sailing. Usually you think of sailing as being hours and hours of boredom punctuated by a few moments of terror. It's kind of the same way. Like nothing normally happens, and then something happens, and you have to make an important decision in real time that's going to have a lot of consequences. So understanding how those humans interact with the grid is something that we have never put into these engineering models. And then there's also things like weather and climate change, which is a longer-term weather phenomena. So we wrote a commentary that appeared in PNAS a few months ago, trying to call for a more integrated view towards power systems. We would like some funding agencies in the US and other countries to bring together big communities of people who can't do it in isolation. Because right now there's really not much of a dialogue between all these different stakeholders who really should be